Hello, my name is Drew Hall, and I'm going to be doing my presentation of the country of Bulgaria. So first, I thought I would start with an introduction. Bulgaria is an atmospheric country with a long and sometimes difficult history that has produced a modern, vibrant civilization that retains its most charming elements of the past, which includes ancient rituals and folklore. The influences of different cultures and the Eastern Orthodox Church have also shaped the nation, particularly in terms of festivals and food. Bulgaria is also located in Southeast Europe. A lot of Bulgaria's culture and economy has been influenced by their past history. They have a long history of communist rule and power, so throughout this presentation, I will be referring a lot to the past, and that is because the past has influenced how Bulgaria has turned out today. So firstly, I thought I would start out with culture. Contemporary Bulgarian culture is a lively blend of millennium-old folk traditions and a more formal culture that played a vital role in the emergence of national consciousness under Ottoman rule and in the development of a modern state. Because Bulgaria's population is largely homogeneous, the degree of cultural variation, even at the regional level, is small. The state encourages cultural development at all levels of society and supports culture, particularly through schools, libraries, museums, publishing, and state radio and television. Bulgaria's numerous theater tropes, opera companies, and orchestras began fusing together into larger, more competitive units in the 1990s. From 1946 until 1990, daily life in Bulgaria was outwardly dominated by the socialist political system, a network of mass organization controlled by the state and the Communist Party, attempted to penetrate every sphere of private life. The state sought to inculcate a new mode of thinking and manner of action based above all on the need for a benefit of social labor. Beneath the surface, however, daily life has long been dominated by a much older tradition and cultural legacy. For example, the Bulgarian family keeps many of its traditional forms and organization. Many households consist of an extended family comprising parents and one of their married sons, usually the oldest, or daughters. Under the communist government, religious functions were declared entirely separate from state functions. Indeed, the post-war constitution prohibited the use of religion or religious organizations for political purposes. After 1990, the Bulgarian constitution provided for religious freedom, but in practice this freedom was granted only to mainstream registered religions. The practice of non-registered religions was prohibited. Bulgarians participate in many festivals, including the International Folklore Festival, held early in August in Burgas, the Varna Summer International Festival, primarily a music festival, is held in July, and Sofia Music Weeks, a springtime celebration of classical music. Historical plays are popular, particularly when staged outdoors in summer against the backdrop of important monuments or buildings associated with events in the country's history. Local festivals provide an opportunity for new musical and literary works to be performed. The blossoming of the roses in the Karlov and Kazanluk valleys is celebrated through May and June. The oil-bearing roses are collected for the production of ottar of roses, an essential oil distilled from fresh petals that is exported worldwide. Next, I thought I would talk about religion. The Eastern Orthodox Church in Bulgaria has deep roots, extending back to the 5th and 7th century when the Slavs and the Bulgars, respectively, adopted Byzantine Christianity. In the period of the First Bulgarian Empire, prior to this official conversion, Christianity had spread to the region during Roman and early Byzantine times. After the 1054 Great Schism, the Church of Bulgaria remained in communion with Constantinople and other Eastern Orthodox churches. It bears the distinction of being the oldest Slavic Christian church in the Orthodox Communion. According to the most recent census, most of Bulgarian inhabitants are Eastern Orthodox Christians, almost all of whom are members of the Bulgarian Orthodox Church, officially the country's traditional religion. So here are some percentages of the different type of religions. Roughly 76% are Eastern Orthodox, 10% Muslim, 12% other, 1% Protestant, 1% Catholic. Finally, I thought I would go with the economy. The rapid industrialization of Bulgaria since World War II and the economic transition it underwent with the demise of the communist regime had a profound effect on Bulgarian society. Liberalization of price controls in the early 1990s led to a marked rise in prices. As a result, inflation rose and strikes became more frequent. The growing pains of the private sector and the strict financial discipline required to ease the heavy foreign debt also resulted in periods of high unemployment and decreased social services. Against this backdrop, the Bulgarian government pursued economic stability with the assistance of international financial institutions, and with the introduction of the currency board in 1997 and other reforms, inflation was dramatically reduced by the end of the decade. By the beginning of the 21st century, with the government aggressively privatizing state-run industries, the restructured Bulgarian economy had markedly improved. GDP increased at an average annual rate of more than 4% during the first decade of the new century. The strongest sectors in the economy are energy, mining, machine building, agricultural, and tourism. Primarily industrial exports are clothing, iron and steel, machinery, and refined fuels. Bulgaria is a developing country with an upper-middle income economy, very high Human Development Index, although it has the lowest GDP per capita and joint lowest Human Development Index in the European Union. Another thing that is good to note is fishing and fish breeding have become important industries. As the production of wine increased as well at the end of the 20th century, that has also become an important export item. Thank you for listening to my presentation about Bulgaria.